The locals called me Reggae Man.
It's gotta be one or the other, Batman. Save the city or catch your greatest enemy. The Bat Train!
No.
It's the Bat Kayak!
No.
It's the Bat Dune Buggy! No. It's the Bat... Shark Rebellion?
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for UpNXT, postwrestling.com, Apple Podcasts, whatever podcast app you found us. And I was going to say live on Twitch.
And live on Twitch. No, we're not live.
We're not.
Every Tuesday, Wednesday. We're live on twitch.tv/upnextpodcast at 10:15 Eastern.
Tuesdays, we watch NXT. We're your NXT friends. And Wednesday, we're your Dynamates. But sometimes we're your Batman friends.
Batmates?
Bat family.
Bat fam?
And, well, we couldn't do this show without Bat friends and Bat family because the first time for one of these Batman reviews, we have a guest joining us, our good friend, Mr. Wai Ting.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for throwing up the signal. I was more than happy to do this one. It's one we've been talking about for a long, long time. And friends are family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we've done these. You do MCU later over at Post Wrestling, where you talk about all the MCU movies and shows and stuff like that. And you haven't really covered the DC world, where that's where we decided that's where we slid in and started doing Batman reviews.
Let's be real though. DC, it's Batman. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it.
Like
Superman
the rest,
for
some
we don't
people,
really
but,
care about the rest, do we? It's just Batman.
Yeah. So
You're not watching Peacemaker?
Is that DC?
Oh,
yeah,
that's
technically
coming out soon. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, true.
Maybe. I'll support John.
Well, we're doing these because the next one we do will be Justice League, the theatrical release.
Yes.
And then we'll be hopefully lined up for Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
The Batman coming out. So I probably won't be able to go see it in theaters. But
when is that coming out?
It's got to be a few months. Because, I mean,
Soon,
theaters are open.
yeah.
Release March 4th.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Cool. So we've been going through and doing all the Batman movies that have been in theaters. I mean, we brought you on because this is a special Batman movie. It's a Lego Batman movie. So I know we'll be definitely diving into Lego because if there's one thing you know a lot about is Lego. But I mean, while we're talking about DC, what's your vibe with DC? You don't, MCU later. You don't get to cover these things. What are your feelings on this?
You could have a DCU soon, couldn't you?
DCU soon. Oh my God.
DCEU soon. I love it.
Write
Well,
that
I'll leave
down,
up to you,
Wai.
honestly.
Write it
Boy.
down.
Yeah, my feelings on the DC universe, I have nothing against it, of course, but I mean, I grew up as a Marvel fan, really through and through, from like the trading cards to the X-Men cartoon to just my collection of comics itself. I was just always more familiar with Marvel, and so quality of the live action output aside, I think I just kind of gravitate more towards it because I'm more knowledgeable about it. But of course, Batman is an exception. I think you talk to a lot of diehard Marvel fans who, despite how they may feel about so many of the other things, I mean, Batman is a constant. It's as, ubiquitous in our pop culture as any, superhero. I would even classify as any fictitious comic book cartoon character at this point. So I would say my knowledge of Batman lore is pretty good, pretty decent, and, taking some time to read some of the comics as well, of course.
I think Batman, where he stands out is maybe, and this whole film that we're going to talk about is Batman. He can't do this on his own. He needs a family and he needs his enemies. And I think Batman possibly has the best rogue gallery in all of comics. And I'd say MCU and DC. Sorry, Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
I think he's got the best rogue gallery, and that's why I always lean to Batman a lot, even though I think as a whole I love Marvel way more. But I've got to think iconic villains in superheroes, it's your Jokers, it's your Riddlers, it's your Catwoman.
I don't know. I'd
Banes.
argue Spider-Man. I'd argue Spider-Man because Batman has the Joker and then everyone else is really secondary. Like, Joker's always going to be the best villain, I think, ranked ever.
But that's only because the Joker is so high up there. I would probably agree. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's the combination of Batman and Joker that this movie very much, kind of talks about in their relationship that really is way beyond what Spider-Man and Green Goblin, like really any sort of like, superhero villain relationship that exists in comics. But it's because the Joker is so high up that, it feels like everybody is so far down. But even like a character like Mr. Freeze, the Riddler is amazing. Even like, I don't know, down to Clayface, I'm sure, like, if, talking about the animated series, like these are very rich and deep characters. So I would tend to more agree.
I would say like
Batman.
My mum, from like a wider cultural sense,
Sure.
my mum who doesn't watch any of these films would not be able to name you one single character in Spider-Man apart from
fair.
Spider-Man.
It's
Whereas
true.
she could probably name you like Alfred, Robin, Batman, Joker,
I feel
Catwoman,
like
like all of
Batman,
them.
like Batman is like even surpassed superhero. Like it's like American James Bond at this point. Like people go crazy when people get cast as Batman and all that stuff. It's very similar. Like yes, it's comic booky, but it's been through so many different versions as we've looked through and talked through that. Yeah, it's spanned like almost like over 50 years, over 60 years, over 70 years. It's crazy how long it's been going.
Oh, simply it's live action iterations. Yeah. We're not even talking about the comics themselves, but yeah, in terms of live action, yeah, it really is like a modern day James Bond. And none of the Marvel characters, I would say, even like Spider-Man, maybe we're kind of approaching that level right now because we've had so many iterations in a short amount of time, but nothing of the history, comparatively to Batman.
Do you have a favorite Batman film and favorite portrayal as Batman?
And why is it Val Kilmer?
It's been, when you guys were like reviewed that movie, I made an effort to like try to go and rewatch it. So I actually had it downloaded and everything, but I just haven't jumped in yet. But you definitely like, I've never rewatched those movies as an adult. And I feel like I'd have a far different appreciation for it now as an adult. But I can't say it's my favorite iteration. Is he my favorite? Like, who's my favorite Batman is kind of hard to say because I feel like they all, or at least most of them, have like, their redeeming qualities. But I can tell you, probably like most people, my favorite film would probably be The Dark Knight. It's really just kind of a masterpiece of superhero, cinema. One that you can completely get immersed in, as a real believable story. I love the way it's presented. And of course we have, perhaps the best comic book villain ever portrayed on screen in Heath Ledger.
Yeah, I mean, we were very high up. We give our bat ratings.
It's an alright film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, we have Heath Ledger in our living room and a big colorful portrait. We do support him. I mean, yeah, he is, it's an iconic character and it's become something so big, but, and I know you're a big fan of all the comic books and everything through not just MCU and stuff, but where does this Lego thing come in here? How the hell did they make a movie about, not only did they make a Lego movie, but then they were like, yo, why don't we make a Lego Batman movie? Because I grew up playing a lot of the Lego games where it's like Lego Star Wars definitely comes to mind. Now there's like dozens, hundreds maybe of these like games and movies.
I've got the Marvel Superheroes one.
Crazy. Yeah. Wait, how does this all come into like play? Why does this exist?
Well, as with most things, I guess that, get created on a big budget scale, I mean, it's to sell toys, isn't it? But, as far as like, I would say Lego outside of the actual construction toy medium goes, like Lego in mass media, yeah, I think it very much, for me, like, I was kind of out of like, I mean, we all played with Lego as kids, but like as an adult, I wasn't really into it. And so when I first heard about like what Lego, somebody's making a video game based off of like a Lego thing, like a Lego Star Wars video game, like, sort of a spin-off of a spin-off essentially. I thought that was ridiculous. It made no sense to me until I realized that like, the sort of, the Lego branding isn't really just there to kind of visually separate the thing from what it originally was. It's almost a way to turn it into a parody, satire of sorts. And you can probably tell me more about this because I haven't really played the video games too much, but the feel of the video games is obviously much more kid-like, but there's also like an element of like enjoyment for adults in that, like, for instance, like they've made Lego Star Wars specials that very much kind of like throw in a lot of inside jokes that, longtime Star Wars fans would get. And that certainly extends here to the Lego Batman movie. But in particular, the Lego Batman movie itself is sort of a spiritual spin-off of the Lego movie, which was created, I wasn't even into Lego when the Lego movie came out. So I went to see it, and it completely over-delivered on my expectations, and I'm sure for a lot of other people as well. When they announced this movie, it just, I don't think anybody took it seriously, because it was like, okay, what, a commercial based off of a toy? Like, who cares? What it turned out being was, I think, something that was a whole lot more heartfelt, and for me personally, took me right back to the idea of just, having Lego toys and building my own Lego city and creating my own adventures. I thought it was like a great way of, portraying sort of like a kid's imagination on screen of what would happen if he threw all the toys together and had one particular figure who does not stand out at all, this construction figure, and what does it mean to not be special, and how do you create that sense of specialness within somebody who when it doesn't appear on the surface. So it was a very heartfelt movie, and that movie, of course, also featured a collection of different IPs mixed into it, including Batman. Batman, who really in that movie was more so portrayed as sort of like your stereotypical jock. Like, it was a wildly different interpretation of Batman, probably emphasizing all of his worst qualities, simply as, just a counter to this everyman in, the construction figure lead character, Emmett, played by, what's his name? Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
And, it was, Batman that they cast as Will Arnett, from Arrested Development, somebody with a famously deep voice. And I think one of the other qualities that stood out to me about the Lego movie was the fact that you had very talented voice actors, very talented comedians, essentially go in there and like improvise a lot of their dialogue in the voice booth. And that really came across in the end result, because these movies don't necessarily feel like they're Disney movies and that they're scripted word for word and very kind of refined and cleaned up. There are a lot of like moments of just like riffing that end up, being edited together before they're sent to the animators to animate. So it feels a whole lot more organic than I think most animated movies do. And I think the interpretation of Batman was probably very much left to Will Arnett to create. And thus you had this very, annoying, pompous, and just, but very entertaining part of the Lego movie that they obviously felt a whole lot of potential to, spin off into its own movie, and of course sell a lot of toys in the process.
Yeah, I mean, he probably showed up for a day's work in his sweats and put in a great performance, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to do a whole movie of this?
Can we make a whole movie about it? But who would go see it?
Yeah.
How much money would it cost? It's all animated. It can't be insane. It can't be like, how much money do you think it could make? I don't know. Probably just as much as every other Batman movie, or if not more, because it made a fuck ton of money. Not only did the Lego movie, I was late on it. I finally watched it on Netflix a few years afterwards, just a late night, high out of my mind, watched it, and I was like, this is hilarious.
Oh, the first one's tremendous. I haven't seen the sequel, but the first one's tremendous. And I think it's something where it's, the reason why I think it can make so much money is you can take your kids to see it, but there's so much humor. They do remind me in a way of, you were saying about parody, kind of like the Robot Chicken, like spoofs they do, or like when Family Guy do Star Wars, that kind of thing. And I think it appeals to such a wide audience. And there's so many, like the fact that we've gone through all these Batman films and we read trivia up about each one. There are so many of these jokes, which I don't necessarily think I would have got beforehand.
Easter eggs.
Yeah, little Easter eggs. Even just casting decisions, like who they have voice certain characters, I think is really smart. And that adults are definitely going to take something away from it as well.
Because I loved Lego as a kid. We've talked about it for a long time. I loved Lego as a kid. I remember that I got this one set. It was like Frankenstein's castle or whatever. It came with all the classic, pretty much Universal monsters without saying Universal.
Monster Fighters?
Something. Like it had Frankenstein, it had the Ghost, it had the Dracula, and like all the main things. But it came with like a disc for your computer, your PC or Mac that was like a Lego movie maker like app.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty much like people started creating, like you've seen on YouTube, what years before these movies ever existed, fans were making it like still shot by shot.
Yeah, like stop motion.
Yeah. So it was a thing that like helped you do it. So I was always like I tried it, I dabbled with it, but I was like still like a kid, but I always thought like, oh, that would be a pretty cool thing that people started making like different things with it. And then years later, it's like, everyone has been doing it. Look at YouTube, I'm sure. Like,
I mean, think we're going to see other spin-offs of other franchises that Lego have. I can imagine down the line. Absolutely.
Yeah, so much of that, I mean, depends on the success of these subsequent movies, right? And, you know, the Lego movies' success, completely, I think, shocked a whole lot of people and certainly paved the way for something like this. You know, we can maybe talk about the future of the franchise after that, but it doesn't seem like there are future plans for Lego films. But certainly this was the second iteration, and I would deem that this was pretty successful as well. I just sent in the chat room.
Yeah. Wai just sent me the set that I had. Yeah, it's called Lego Movie Studios Scary Laboratory. It was man, if I could get this, I would probably cry of nostalgia. And the Western one. Wait, while we're on the topic, I had the Wild Wild West Lego set. And like,
Which one?
Gotta be, I don't know. It was like a town. It was like a town. So what I did was
it Lego Redo? Was it the big fortress?
It was a whole fortress of like Wild Wild West. So what I did
brown?
was yeah. And I would attach, and then I had like a castle or parts of the city. And I found a table like on the street somewhere, and I brought it home to make in my room. I had this Lego, like I was probably like 7 years old, and had this like whole world in my living room. My mom thought I was pretty crazy, but she's like, hey, it's pretty creative that you're creating these things. But I loved Wild Wild West, and I loved the Scary Laboratory one. And then I got into superheroes, but this is kind of, they hadn't made the superhero ones quite yet. So I would make my own, like the Scary Laboratory would come with spider webs. So I'd make a guy all red and use the spider webs. Yeah. You know, I try to be all like that. Wai has now found the Wild Wild West.
Wow. You're
one.
Quick at this, Wai.
He knows his Lego.
That's a classic set.
That's the one I had.
It still gets talked about.
Fort Lego Redo. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. How much does that go for now?
Okay.
Jesus.
Well, Wai, I had only one Lego set as a kid, and I had a bunch of other just like bricks and stuff. Yeah. But it was Forbidden Island. I managed to find it. Wow. It was like pirates, and there's like a watchtower. And my favorite bit is there's like a dungeon. So you got a trap door, and you can drop people into the dungeon.
Whoa!
Wow, that's wonderful. This is a classic one as well, man.
That's
okay. Very cool.
Yeah. I think I've seen. I had parts.
You had
of
a monkey with a little gun.
Yeah.
Had a parrot. It was great.
I love this. Wait, what about you? What as a kid? Not talking ones you have now, but as a kid, you didn't play with them as a kid too much.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, like in wrestling, we kind of have arcade periods, and then we have our dark ages, and then we come back. You know, some of us come back as adults, but yeah, as a kid, I really had everything. You know, my appreciation for Lego, I think even predates my birth, because like I have two older brothers who started the collection before I was even born. So the first set that they ever had was this thing called, like, you know, now people call it the Big Yellow Castle. It was released, I believe, in the 70s. So it was really kind of like the first. Yeah, if you just like, you know, like Google Big Yellow Castle, this is like, you know, this was like, I think among the first I don't know, theme sets that they created that weren't just generic bricks. This was 1978. And, just this like massive thing that, you know, so like growing up, I had like, you know, a big collection that I would have myself, but I would always have these like random yellow pieces. And it wasn't until in the future where I realized they are all originated from. So, it's to me, like this is a bit of a white whale that, you know, someday I kind of hope to own in good condition if possible. But yeah, you know, this would probably be my favorite, but I'll say like as an adult, you know, my interest is a lot more in like some of the adult theme sets. You know, I love the modular buildings that take advantage of a lot of more like advanced building techniques. And, there's a whole lot of like really interesting math in like modern Lego construction where it's not simply stacking, you know, brick on top of brick, but it's like people deal with like half plate techniques that give you, and like side angles and things like that really just like, you know, hit the nerd part of me like really well.
Yeah, I got really you're kind of right, because I was a kid. I played with all this Lego, and then of course I kind of grow up and stuff. But then I started I got a Lego set. It was a Star Wars one, as a gift from someone. So I put it together and put it on a shelf in my room, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I started buying more Star Wars sets, and I would put them in my room to look pretty cool. But then I remember I was eventually moving, and I was like, I don't really know if I want to keep this Lego. So I gave all my Lego sets away, including the Wild West one and everything, to back in packaging and stuff. I gave it to my younger cousin, who then years later went and sold it all and said he made almost $2,000 off all the Legos. He had a lot too. I never had the Death Star, but I feel like that is an ultimate goal for a lot of Lego people. It just looks so badass.
I feel I kind of want a set of just anything just to do while watching TV, because I find I just fucking scroll on my phone way too much, looking at nothing, just to do something while I'm watching TV. And I think I need something to kind of keep my hands busy.
Yeah.
Oy, oy. But,
I mean, Lego, throughout the pandemic, I think has really seen its really started to cater more towards its adult market, to the point where they have a theme called Lego for Adults. And even its marketing now is very much targeted using Lego to sort of present itself as some sort of almost like a meditative therapeutic tool for adults. So there are a lot of people maybe thinking the way that you do, and Lego has been looking to take advantage.
I said Lego Death Star, but I think I meant Lego Millennium Falcon.
Isn't Death Star what bigger, Ned has in Spider-Man? I think.
I don't know. Have you seen the video where the Star Wars fan, they were promoting Force Awakens, and Harrison Ford's on one of the late night shows, and they bring one of their staff the Millennium Falcon Lego, and they give it to Harrison Ford, and he just fucking drops it, and it shatters.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I love Lego, and then I kind of got out of it. Wait, you gave me a Lego set, actually. When you gave me
the Scooby-Doo set.
Scooby-Doo set. Yeah, we still have it over there on the TV over the mystery machine. I regret not buying the Back to the Future DeLorean. I had it in my hands in a Toys R Us in Times Square. And I was like, do I want to spend 40 American on it? And I put it down. And now I don't want to, yeah. Yeah.
Well, Lego, they're incredibly smart in its marketing, and every set essentially becomes a collector's item because everything has a limited run. So, something like the DeLorean is worth, several times its value right now. And that's just part of I would say sometimes it's unhealthy, honestly. There's a real hype culture surrounding Lego that they definitely make use of FOMO as a way to market itself. And anyway, it's part of why it's such an addictive hobby if you're really into it.
I'm looking now. The Millennium Falcon's going for $180 on Amazon.
That's not bad.
Well, no,
that's insane.
Depends on the Falcon. You're probably looking at the smaller one.
I'm looking at the Rise of Skywalker Falcon.
Is it big?
No,
1,300 pieces.
Look up UCS Millennium Falcon. That's the one that was featured on the Conan episode. That
Okay.
thing is,
it's Conan O'Brien. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it's big, the giant Lego thing.
it's far bigger. Yeah.
UCS.
It's probably
And it's far more expensive.
1,300 or something, I would imagine.
Okay. UCS Millennium Falcon.
So there's a new iteration of it that's been released for 900 Canadian.
Oh, geez. Okay.
900. Damn.
Yeah. And that's because it's still in production. Once it goes off market, it's probably going to be a whole lot more.
It's going to be more than our rent.
That's crazy. That's
crazy.
insane. I mean, you love Lego. You had Lego flowers at your wedding. You had Lego setup. When you walked in, you got to see a little Lego setup. I thought it was beautiful. Thought it was great. Nice little touch.
Thanks.
Everything Lego.
I mean, I would say at this point, it's kind of a part of my identity. It's a part of my screen name. A lot of people might not realize 0937 flipped upside down is Lego.
Yeah.
So
that blew my mind when I heard that recently. I was like, I always assumed it was some date or whatever. But
what does Lego mean, Wai?
Leg godt, which is Danish for play well. Yeah.
Bet you didn't know that either.
No, I didn't know that. You know what Lego means to me? Family.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, kind of circling back around to Lego Batman, because the Lego movie had all these other characters brought in here, whereas this is Lego Batman. Do you have any Batman Lego sets? Because I could imagine the Batmobile being a pretty cool, like maybe
Yeah, I mean,
Tumblr.
Lego Batman is really like, I would say a bit of a gold mine, I think, for the Batman, the Lego company. So much so that every year there's a certain quota of DC sets, and I would say a good half, if not more than that, is dedicated to Batman, because they know it sells. So I think I have like the Zack Snyder version of the Batman. I mean, they've released every single version of this thing, including the Burton ones. They've released the Adam West version of the Batmobile, the Robert Pattinson one, of course, they have already. So I at least have one. Yeah.
I managed to go to, there was a fan expo. We live right near, the Metro Convention Center in Toronto. So my buddy of mine had an extra ticket. So he's like, I'll come for a few hours. I was like, literally walked over, and I didn't buy anything except there was a stand, and they were popping all day. It was huge. They make custom Lego things. So they got like all these characters. So I came home with, I have a Lego, I got you a Lego Freddie Mercury. I got a Lego, here's what? Michael Myers, Leatherface.
Wow, cool.
And like all these, I got an Elvis for my mom. Like they had any character or like real people, characters from movies, they had them. And then they had like power, like they had everything. If they're not like, clearly they make them themselves, but like.
Probably illegal.
It's probably very legal. Like they use real Lego pieces, but they like use professional things to paint over it. Like,
okay.
You would not know it wasn't made by them, but like, they look sweet. Like this one literally has a chainsaw with it, which I didn't know there was Lego chainsaws.
I've seen the set I want.
What is it?
And we've talked on these Batman reviews of our kind of favorite villains that have never made it to screen until this one.
True.
We're going to be talking about Calendar Man.
Yes.
And Egghead.
Yeah.
And there's an Egghead set.
That's fucked.
Where he's got his like little robot thing he's in. But what I love is, you know, you have like the hairpiece on the Legos.
Yeah.
This is just an extra head
you
put on top to make it round. Cone. Love it.
Yeah, and I'm sure it comes with like the fried egg Legos and stuff. Yeah.
So good.
I mean, yeah, a Lego Batmobile still looks the cool. I just quickly searched that, and there's so many different ones. You're totally right. Like different iterations of it.
I'm sure it was one of the driving forces of this movie's creation. The fact that Lego could, of course, benefit from selling a toy basically of every single thing that you see in this movie. And there's a lot of it.
What is something that hasn't been made in Lego that you would want, Wai?
People often bring up like, oh, would you love to see like wrestling, WWE reflected in Lego? And I don't know if I really would, because I mean, it's not as like grand. Like so often it's just guys like in their underwear. And I don't know if that translates to, like kind of miniature dolls too well. So, let me try to think.
Cause I remember, I gave a lot of stuff like random Lego sets and pieces to like my younger half brothers as well. So when they were growing up, they're a lot younger than me, playing Lego with them and stuff. I got them into wrestling, and we would make like wrestling rings and wrestlers and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. Most of the time they just be looking like they're either in pants or in trunks, underwear.
Yeah. And you could do some fun ones. You could do have cool like ones. Hangman and a little horse and that sort of thing.
Yeah, like you? Undertaker, Kane, Stone Cold. There was some the main characters. I'm still surprised there hasn't been. I've seen people try to make like fake ones and stuff like the ones I have here, but there's never been like real WWE. There's been like the rip-off brands, like the fake Lego. What is Mega Blocks?
Yeah, I don't know. Mega Blocks has done it, but like WWE has kind of done their own like side block thing. There's a great Instagram and Twitter by this woman named Astrid who does a lot of custom toy configurations, but she'll like dedicate so much time and attention to creating like Lego versions of like indie wrestling stars. Like she makes like a Nick Gage. Like I'm looking at one right here. Her Instagram is Asui88, ASSUI88, and like everybody she's made. She's been at Hayabusa and
what? Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
There's a Nick Gage one with a pizza cutter. Oh, these are very cool.
They're so great.
Because when I was like, again, really, really young, again, probably like 7 or 8 playing Lego, I took different pieces from different sets and all that stuff, and I made a Lego miniature of what like I thought looked like my mom, and to this day she still has it like on her office. She keeps it.
That's adorable.
She still has it. So I got her this Elvis
cute.
to go with it. But yeah, that's another Lego bit in my life. Should we talk about some Lego Batman?
I think so.
All the Lego talk. Well, let's go to Lego Batman, the movie. That's right. This movie is just from a few years ago, actually. It's from
2017.
2017. It feels like a long time ago, and I feel like there'll be a second one on the way if there isn't planned already. But Lego Batman.
I don't know about that, actually.
No?
Like, I haven't heard any rumblings, at least. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that.
I think the sequel to the Lego movie didn't do too well, did it?
Okay.
So it might halt things a bit.
I feel like it's more of a, because we did a review of the Star Wars like multiverse one they did last year or whatever, and I feel like that would work better, like Disney Plus specials or something like that. Yeah. Well, the Lego Batman movie, we mentioned Will Arnett is our Bats in this movie, and he kind of voices and talks throughout the whole thing. But I mean, he's great, but there are so many other people in this movie that we'll go through, because there's like cameos and little things that, looking up the names, I'm like, oh, that's who that is, and so forth. But it starts with Will Arnett's growly voice.
Bojack.
Job.
Yeah.
Right? Black. All movies start with a black screen. I won't do that the whole show. And then DC, the house that Batman built. When the logos are cut, he's basically talking about it. He's not wrong. He throws lots of digs at Superman in this movie. He says, you hear, if you want to make the world a better place, you got to take a look at yourself and make a change.
Yeah.
It's the theme of this movie.
And he says it's his own quote. Doesn't credit MJ for that.
Michael Jackson, Batman.
So immediately, you get the sense that, number one, this is I would say a breaking of a fourth wall type of film. And it's, I mean, a Michael Jackson quote, I'm sure many children would know about it, but I would say it's probably a line in a joke that's a bit more targeted towards, a bit older of a demographic.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
And we get to hear the song later, of course. You know.
I also wanted to mention, Davie, you mentioned Robot Chicken. The director of this film, Chris McKay, actually used to work as a producer, director, and editor on Robot Chicken.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And so, some of the comedy has a very similar feel. Chris McKay was also the animation director, and it sounds like he was actually, a real hands-on, almost like co-director level type of person for the original Lego movie as well.
Well, I mean, Seth Green is also a little cameo in this as well.
He's in here as well.
He plays King Kong. So we see Lego Batman here. This movie is so colorful and so like crazy and intricate. Like the design going into this is very fantastic, very well done and bright and fun. We get to see all these Batman villains, like you mentioned, the Rogues Gallery here, and it's stacked. Of course, we got people like Joker, Riddler, Scarecrow, Bane, Two-Face. They're all showing up here. Clayface is there. Mr. Freeze.
Poison Ivy.
Polka Dot Man.
Yes.
King Tut.
Yep. Egghead.
Yes. Clock King and Calendar Man.
Crazy Quilt, Eraser, King Tut. Yeah, all of, pretty much every single Batman villain is represented here.
These are all villains that, I would say even some of the most, diehard of comic book fans. I bet you W.H. Park might not even be aware of some of these villains, but they all have existed canonically in the comics. Never did I think anybody imagine that they would, there would be any other iteration than, that one particular issue perhaps, but they brought out some of the most ridiculous ones here for cameo appearances. And yes, they made toys of all of them. But maybe the most, underappreciated one coming out of this might be Billy D. Williams being cast as Two-Face. This is a reference, of course, to, an original casting that was supposed to take place for one of the Tim Burton films that never ended up happening.
So he played Harvey Dent in the Tim Burton films.
Right.
And then when it came to Joel Schumacher, he was eventually meant to be Two-Face. And then they recast him with Tommy Lee Jones. And he's been bitter about it all this time.
Didn't they still pay him, though?
I think so, yeah.
I think they paid him not to do it.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Batman Forever.
Some
review.
trivia there. He got paid to not be in a movie, and so did one of the Wayans brothers. They're like, here's a few $1,000. Sorry, you're actually not Robin. And he was like, okay, cool. I get paid to not.
One of the Wayans brothers is supposed to be Robin?
Yeah, crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. I mean, there is some crazy cameos. Billy D. Williams playing Two-Face. Zoe Kravitz playing Catwoman.
Yeah.
In 2017.
And she's going to play her just in a couple of months. Yeah.
Interesting. Kate Michucci. I've seen her in a bunch of comedy sketches.
Garfunkel and Oates.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly. Yeah, I love her. She's Clayface. There's some Eddie Izzard is Voldemort. Sorry, he comes later.
You've got Jenny Slate and Jason Mantzoukas, who are like best known in like Big Mouth, but do a lot of sitcoms. They're Harley Quinn and Scarecrow.
Right.
So there's a lot of like well-known voice actor comedians in this as well.
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien as the Riddler.
Yes.
The Ginger Riddler.
Will Arnett says that the voice he uses for Batman is when he's like trying to be serious with his kids. He always puts on this deeper, gruffer voice when he's being serious. But obviously a few of these people would have come in for just half a day's work and recorded their lines, or probably even just done it from home and sent in. But Will Arnett would need to be there a lot longer because this fucks your voice up doing this kind of thing. And he said like the rapping later on was really hard to do with this voice, and just like singing and shouting and all that, it would really take a toll on it, which I can imagine because just mimicking it for these shows, we always kind of cough after.
Hurts after. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, and getting out of the Rogues Gallery, one of the oddest castings that I think from this movie for me was Mariah Carey as the mayor.
Yeah, it was weird. I saw the name flash up and I was like, wait, Mariah Carey. And quickly had to look at it.
It's just like, why not? You feel like she's just walking down the corridor one day and they're like, hey, do you want to just record someone quick?
She's like, look, between the months of January and October, I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm free.
I get the sense like at least with Conan O'Brien, I mean, I think he simply let the director know that his kids or that he loved the Lego movie, and so they just decided to find a role for him. I don't know if that was similar for Mariah Carey or not, but it's funny either way when you find it.
And of course, and the Joker, Zach Galifianakis.
Yes.
So, I mean, Joker and Will Arnett going at each other is quite funny. But there's other voices that will show up. After naming the Rogues Gallery, they do joke like, hey, that's worth a Google. Like, go Google all these names.
Well, they do the main ones pretty slowly. Yeah. Like, they come out and do their entrance, and then it's like, and this guy.
Killer Croc, too. Joker's got this bomb, and he's going to send Gotham into eternal abyss. And the mayor, as we mentioned, Mariah Carey, she's there. So Batman's going to fight the Joker. And we get one of our first, I'd say, and biggest callbacks to an old Batman movie. Because Lego Batman's kind of got the original Tim Burton Batman costume, but with the glowy eyes of Batfleck from Batman v Superman.
Yes, and then the score is very much imitating Hans Zimmer's Dark Knight trilogy. We
see Batman saying, hey, Joker, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. A shout out to Mr. Michael Keaton. And we hear one of many songs through the movie, the Batman song. And it's just Batman. While he's fighting all these criminals, he's like, there's lyrics such as, who does the sickest backflips ever? Batman. Who is the most awesome? Batman. You think my muscles are big? You haven't seen my brain. Batman.
Who always pays his taxes? Not Batman. And you've got like a shot of the Joker leaning out the car, very like the Heath Ledger, and they recreate it with Joaquin Phoenix. And the song kind of resembles the Adam West Batman theme, because it's like, who does this? Batman!
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Poison Ivy's trying to kill him, so he's just giving her all these penguins
she's trying to kiss him.
Dying. No animals were harmed.
He's
in the
taking the penguins, and making them kill. Yeah, no Lego penguins were harmed.
Yeah, this song's great.
Yeah, the Batman song. Even Bane. The Bane is imitating Tom Hardy. They got some guy who just does
this. Is
Doug Benson.
Yeah,
Super high me.
Podcast comedian who always did this impression, so they hired him based on that.
It's so funny.
I didn't realize, because he would always do the Bane voice, right?
He's very funny. Batman and Superman, Batman and Joker catch up with each other, and he's trying to stop the Joker before the bomb goes off. And he says it's either stop your biggest enemy or save the city. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? Wait a second. What do you mean my biggest enemy? He's like, well, I'm your biggest enemy. No, you're not. It was like, yeah, I'm your greatest enemy. I'm the Joker. You're Batman.
Take Team Taz out of your mouth.
He's like, actually, I fight around. I like to fight around. And the Joker's a little taken aback by this. Like, what do you mean you fight around? Me and you are like, we do this together. This is like our relationship. Sorry, says Batman. I don't do ships. No relationships for the bats. And there is no us. I don't need you, Joker. And this brings a tear to the Joker's eye. This is the meanest thing he's ever heard in his life. And Batman ends with, you mean nothing to me. No one does. And then goes and defuses the bomb. But lets the Joker get away. But Joker's just heartbroken.
Yeah, we feel a little sorry for this supervillain.
They're clearly playing on like the whole, hey, I thought we were in a relationship. What? No, I'm still seeing other people.
Yeah.
and in particular, it really hits on, the idea popularized by Alan Moore's Killing Joke that the Batman and the Joker are two sides of the same coin. And they're both equally traumatized from their past, but they simply decide to lash out in different ways, yet both need each other in order to really coexist and be who they are. This, of course, parodizes it and explicitly says it using sort of like, this relationship, romantic relationship sort of a feel to it. But it's something that is, I think, very, close to any iteration of the Batman Joker relationship.
I think the Killing Joke is the best graphic novel still. Like, I love that one. I still have that one. I make sure I always have it. It's dark, but it's good. Well, so the Joker gets away and he's really sad here that Batman kind of just threw him away. He's like, my greatest villain is actually, my greatest foe is not you. It's, Superman. Yeah, that's who it is. It's Superman. And he's like, well, Superman's not even a bad guy. I
hate that guy.
I fight him a lot, so it's okay. We go to Wayne Manor, which in this movie is...
there's this big celebration because Batman's
saved
now
the day.
Saved the day, and there's this Italian chef who like congratulates him, and Batman just goes, prego. Just made me chuckle.
Wayne Manor is on Wayne Manor Island.
Yeah.
Like, he gets his own fucking island in this.
When it's Lego, you get your little island set.
I guess, yeah. So it's Wayne Manor Island, and he goes home. He flies in with the Bat gear and the Batmobile, but he needs the password to get through into the Batcave. Please enter password from Siri, his voice-activated thing, and his password is Iron Man sucks. And goes in. Alfred has left out his lobsters to be microwaved, and just shows
Thermidor.
What is it?
Lobster Thermidor, which is, I guess, microwavable lobster. I've never eaten it, but
wow. I mean, I like lobster, but I don't know if I've had lobster, but a lot of times I love
try everything once, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, lobster Thermidor is a French dish of lobster meat cooked in a rich wine sauce, stuffed back into a lobster shell and browned.
Oh, this sounds fantastic.
Yeah. That's good shit.
Sound great.
Yeah.
So he's just living his sad Batman Bruce Wayne life here.
I mean, in our ratings, we don't do Batcave. We should maybe, but this is one of the best Batcaves. And I love how he's like in a little sailboat in the middle of the water eating this lobster.
Yeah.
And you see all his other bat boats just around him. He's got like a huge bat ship,
harbor,
like a bat sub. Like it's Bat Harbor in this cave. Look great.
I love this particular scene because, in contrast to the big musical number that you saw right before this, it's a big celebration. Everybody loves Batman. The contrast is in the Batcave, there's no music. It's pretty much dark, and it's just a lonely man eating his microwavable lobster, watching Jerry Maguire.
It shows real, like the actual movie, not like the only non-Lego thing in this movie is like, watching.
And he has like very human issues, like all of us, like hitting an extra 0 on the microwave by accident and then having to correct it so it doesn't say 20, it says 2, and then standing in front of the microwave as he's waiting for his food to heat up. Like it's
and he's
so
always
stupid.
in the cowl as well.
Yeah, he's always wearing the bat mask,
but he's got like a robe on.
Yeah,
as well. Like
this is the best bat. I want this.
The...
I need this Lego version of him. It's just the robe and the bat mask. It's so funny.
They did release it, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Really?
Okay, yeah, for sure. Well, he's watching Jerry Maguire in his Bat Theater, which again is
and that
sweet.
Heath Ledger's Joker quotes Joe Maguire.
You
doesn't it?
complete
He
me.
says, "You complete me."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a good choice of scene. It's the
Good movie.
yeah.
Alfred shows up
You
and
had me at hello.
yeah,
Right?
that's it. He shows up. Alfred shows up here and kind of accidentally scares him. And he's like, hey, he's basically doing the pep talk Alfred always does in all these movies.
And this is Ray Fiennes.
Ray
playing
Fiennes
this,
playing Alfred here.
who is then the third Academy Award winner
to play
to
Alfred.
play Alfred.
That's crazy. Well, he's here. He's like, hey, I've seen you through the years. Again, everything in any Batman pop culture thing is canon in this movie.
Yeah.
He's like, I've been looking after you for fucking 74 years. Like, why don't you get a new family already? I think it's time. It's pretty much what he said.
It's like, were you looking at your family photos?
No,
again?
I
He's
wasn't
like,
doing
"No,
that.
no."
Was I?
You
No.
being sad about your family again?
Bruce keeps looking at this photo. Was this taken right before the parents
I
were
think
killed?
so.
It's a selfie like outside the theater with his mom. So funny.
Everything in this movie, and much like the original Lego movie, like sort of the meta revelation is that it's all adventures seen through the eyes of a child. And so this movie is very much, I think, following up on that, in that everything is so dumbed down and to almost like a very pure, like simple form. That you can understand maybe all of this stuff is created by a child inside a child's mind.
I mean, yeah, kids play with Lego.
absolutely.
This is what they would do with it. They would make these they'd play with it and do all these things. There's a tuxedo party. I mean, well,
They show, as Alfred's saying, like, I saved you in all this. You see clips from all the
Past movies,
So you
yeah.
have like Batman v Superman. You have the Michael Keaton ones. You've got the
Yeah.
Dark Knight trilogy, and they even show Adam West's, which they don't bother animating with Lego because it's already a cartoon.
It's ridiculous enough on its
Yeah.
own. Yeah.
There'll be more
And it's him
callbacks.
doing the
dance.
dancing.
So he's getting ready to go to a party, and he's watching the TV, and we see the news, and it's Superman on TV. But Superman's played or voiced by Channing Tatum, who's talking about how great he is to be Superman, and that he's put all the world's best villains in the Phantom Zone so
Yes.
that they can't attack the world again.
And Superman acknowledges that he wouldn't be Superman if it wasn't for Zod. Like, him facing
Yeah.
Zod has made me what I am. And Joker's watching this on TV. Like, see, he gets it.
Yeah,
he
so
gets
they're
it.
both watching like, man, Mike, why Superman understands?
Yeah.
You need your other.
Meanwhile, Bane is trying to make a CD rack behind him and just smashes it all. Just a nice little sight gag. But yeah, they're at Jim Gordon's retirement. He's
That's
retiring.
right. He's retiring, and there's going to be a new commissioner, and it's Barbara Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this
Rosario
Dawson?
Again, she's on everything.
Go Big Show. Yeah. So Rosario Dawson's here, and she's the new commissioner, or going to be. We also see that there's a kid at this party because there's an orphan. There's an orphans.
There's always orphans.
There's always orphans in
I think.
Batman. Yeah. He's the most famous orphan of all time.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Bruce is pretty famous as well.
I mean, yeah, Bruce is the biggest.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah,
meant
yeah.
Robin.
Yeah, he's second.
Okay.
Yeah. So Batman's like not paying attention to the kid talking to him, Dick Grayson, and he's like kind of staring.
Checking out Barbara.
Yeah, he's looking at Barbara. So Dick's asking him all these questions, and he's just going, yeah, sure, yep. And Dick's like, oh, hey, do you think like you could like
Adopt me?
adopt me? And he's like, yeah, sure, why not? And like not listening to him. He's like, whoa, okay, wow. So this kid's ready to change his life and move in with
And this is Michael Cera, right?
Michael
Who's
Cera playing
perfect as
Robin.
Robin. And the way he's animated, his like doll has these huge eyes, just
Yeah.
emphasizing how like young and naive he is. But yeah, Robin's pretty great in this.
So it's Job and
And George Michael.
George Michael
Yeah.
from Arrested Development. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I believe it was the director went through Will Arnett to try to get Michael Cera to agree, and obviously he immediately did.
I mean, how could you not? That's so.
I wanna see that meeting, like Michael Cera and Will Arnett going for coffee and being like, "Hey, do you want to be in a Batman film?" Michael Cera's like, "Absolutely." It's like, "Do you want to be Robin?" Yes. It's gonna be Lego. You all right with that? All right. Okay.
Like, it's crazy that they're both in. I love the first few seasons particularly of Arrested. And I mean, Arnett's from Toronto and Sarah's from like Brampton. So it's pretty crazy. I wonder if they were, hanging around. Yeah. Look at them now.
Look at them now.
Toronto boys
Proud of it.
Playing Batman and Robin in Lego. So he's going to adopt Dick without him even knowing it. And I love how he says, what does he say? He's like, oh, my name's Richard Grayson, but my friends call me Dick. And Batman's like, well, kids can be cruel. Barbara Gordon talks to the people of Gotham and says she wants to get rid of Batman because every time Batman gets involved, like bad thing, we need to get rid of him. So
can't have these vigilantes going around.
I think her specific thing was saying was that like he's been around for 70 plus years, and yet these villains are still terrorizing the city. Nothing's gotten better. So what exactly has the man done?
Well, maybe she's right because all these bad guys show up now. Again, the Joker leading the charge with all the classic villains here, and well, Batman he's got to step in to try to save the day. And Barbara is kind of like helping him fight some bad guys here. She's holding her own, beating up these bad guys. But the Joker just surrenders. He's like, no, I'm not here to fight. I just want to surrender.
Because Bruce is there as Bruce Wayne, and he kind of calls. There's a little thing in the car earlier where Alfred is telling him to take off his cowl. And he's like, I don't know what that is. And he's like, he refuses to say the word mask. He's like, take off your armored, like, face covering or something like that. And so when Bruce is like jumping out the window, like gonna change into Batman, and his mask is very like kind of Iron Man, it like will come and then he'll rip off his top and be Batman. He's having to say it like in Alfred's way to get it, and Alfred's being all pissy about it. It's like, we'll talk about this later.
So he changes in. It's a classic Batman. We've seen all these past movies where he's escaping the party and has to change and stuff. So of course you see it here. But the Joker and all the bad guys, they say they surrender. We don't want to fight anymore. So they're a little confused.
Batman's he's in like the thing from Avatar, one of these armored like robot walking things.
This
like he's
crazy.
got them beat, and they're like, we're not fighting you. We surrender.
Yeah. So all the bad guys are arrested.
All of them.
All of them. All the bad guys here are gone. So Batman's just bored. He's got nothing to do now. We hear one is the loneliest number because he's just, what is his life? He's spying on Arkham Asylum through the windows and like just always like he's got nothing to do.
Yeah, there's this big kind of celebration because all the villains have gone. And I was trying to find out, I couldn't see it, but one of the just random Lego characters, just civilians, goes, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And someone else is like, be with your family. I'm pretty sure it was Trey Parker or Matt Stone, one of these, because it sounded just like a South Park character. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? Sort of thing. But I couldn't see anything, so unless it's uncredited, but it was just this one line sounded right out of South Park.
Well, Batman's sad now, and Alfred is like, look, I'm shutting down access to your computer until you raise this son. And he's like, sorry, my son? I don't have a son. He's like, yeah, don't you remember you adopted him? And it turns into Dick Grayson being shoved into the Batcave. Just Alfred's just like, here you go. You can be Robin. Essentially. So he's there.
He's going through all these different costumes of things. He's like, all right, well, if you're going to be my son, you need to, because he thinks he's being adopted by Bruce and by Batman.
Yeah. Two dads.
So they're going through all these costumes, and then he's like, how about Reggae Man? This one suits you. And it's the Robin costume, which is obviously kind of your red, yellow, and green, which I guess are kind of Jamaican reggae colors. And he's like, oh yeah, this one's great, except the pants are a bit tight. So he rips off the tights, thus having the classic Robin, just wife front, like underwear.
Wrestler trunks.
And therefore he's got it's not a Robin costume, it's a Reggae Man.
Reggae Man.
With the R on it and everything.
So he has like different...
like a conveyor belt sort of
costumes.
Thing.
Yeah. I would love a Lego Reggae Man.
They did make that as well.
Oh, wonderful.
But I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of like making fun of the trope of these superheroes having a litany of different outfits anytime there's a new movie that comes out so that they can market a new toy. Or like, you know, even in the comic books, like Batman always having a special suit whenever he needs to, I don't know, go on a different caper. And here they just kind of take it to a crazy level where you have like this El Mariachi Batman costume, which Batman does say is now culturally insensitive.
Yeah, he does say, a little problematic.
Like a silly scuba suit. There's like a boxing Batman. There's like a St. Patrick's Day Batman. Like, it's ridiculous. And yes, they did make toy versions of all of those things.
There is that anime, like the Batman Ninja thing. I watched that a while ago on Netflix. There's a cartoon movie where it's like Batman and Joker, but like almost like in anime times or something crazy like that. And I remember as a young kid, I had some sort of Batman samurai toy thing. I don't know, probably.
What, the animation was anime style?
I think so. Okay. Yeah. Well, we also see some of his toys in the Batcave, like the Bat Kayak, the Bat Dune Buggy, the Bat Space Shuttle, and the Bat Shark Repellent.
Yeah. From the 66 film.
And he's like, hey, that you can touch that because it doesn't do anything. Like, literally does not work.
Well, you're going to see what's the name of the shark villain?
Jaws.
Jaws.
It's just Jaws. Okay.
Spoilers, we're not there.
Sorry.
So Robin's now Robin. He's not Reggae Man. But Batman decides, Robin, you're going to help me. You're small and you can get into small places. So you're going to help me steal from Superman. And Robin's just excited that one of his dads are like helping him out and says, it's raining dads. So they go to the, what's Superman's isolation lair?
Fortress of Solitude.
Fortress of Solitude, of course. And Batman's playing up like, all right, I'm going to distract him. He's here by himself. He's lonely. He sucks. No one likes Superman. And you like go sneak in and steal this, phantom projector thing for this Phantom Land zone. So he rings Superman's Fortress of Solitude doorbell and it's dun, 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 dun.
The Superman thing.
Superman opens up and he's like, oh, Bruce, or Batman, didn't expect you to come on. He's like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. And then he kind of goes in.
And it's Superman's Channing Tatum.
Yeah, again, yeah.
Who reprises his role from the original Lego movie, actually.
The movie, yeah. Well, it turns out Superman actually is quite popular because it's a party. It's the 57th anniversary of the Justice League party. And all of them are here. Yeah. And they're all just having a ball. And it's like a record scratch and they look, oh, Batman's here. And they're like, oh, we meant to invite you. Something with the emails. Sometimes the emails just don't come through. Green Lantern, played by Jonah Hill, just hanging around here. And then they're like, oh, let's get with the party. And DJ Wonder Dog, the Superman dog, is the DJ.
Right.
So many little things here. But yeah, so Batman's kind of mad that he wasn't invited.
Yeah. Sorry, just in the scene before where Robin picks his name as Robin, Batman's like, sorry, Robin, as in the small, frail Midwestern bird? And he's like, yeah. He's like, okay. I think he's saying, tweet, it's me on the street.
It's his catchphrase.
But yeah, it's great seeing the whole Justice League here. And clearly everyone thinks Batman's a bit of a dick because they didn't invite him to this party. Yeah.
Adam Devine as the Flash. There's just all these other like characters and all the Justice League, but they're just partying. They don't really, it shows that Batman's kind of on his own isolation. He doesn't work well with others here, but I thought that was pretty funny. Robin eventually goes in there and does steal this Phantom Zone projector. So they get away with this thing. They steal the Phantom projector, and Batman's plan is he's going to send Joker into the Phantom Zone because that will put him there forever.
To get rid of him for good. Yeah.
That's
but,
right.
Of course, like throughout this entire caper, like he realizes, oh, okay, like I have some chemistry with this Robin, yet he's very reluctant to admit it because he, of course, doesn't like to work with others.
He doesn't like family. He's scared.
He's a lone wolf.
Yeah, he doesn't want to have another family. He doesn't know how to deal with it. Well, he gets a projector. They go to Arkham Asylum, and that's when he wants to like make it seem like he's visiting the Joker, but then they sneak in, they bust in, him and Robin, and then he sends Joker into the Phantom Zone. And I mean, Barbara's pretty mad and upset that, like, hey, what are you doing with this kind of thing? He's like, I had to get rid of him. And she's kind of questioning him. And this is when he's like, yo, don't you know who I am? I'm Batman. I'm awesome. And then a short song kicks in, like another rap song here, featuring Lil Dicky.
Okay.
Shout out Dave. The lyric, I've listened to this like 10 times today. I'm Batman. I'm awesome. I got a 9-pack. I'm Batman.
Love it.
So he, I have here, get this man some pants.
Yeah, because he rips his pants off to be like Robin as well. So he's got his legs exposed.
Because his boots, because when he was trying to get through the, like when he had to take all the weapons out to get into Arkham, through the, security, right. He said his boots were attached to his pants. So the whole thing had to come off. It's like, I guess, going through TSA and you're wearing a leotard. So he's pantsless the whole time. Yeah.
So weird. And then it cuts to Robin sneaking in the thing, and it's like, wait a second. And then they chase after him, and that's when, this is so ridiculous. So the Phantom Zone, it's basically like clouds and thunder and like almost like a multiverse black hole kind of thing where Joker is now in.
This is like, this movie's version of the Phantom Zone, which is, like I guess a classic, Superman, like I guess similar in concept to the Negative Zone in Marvel Comics, but just like sort of a black hole, I suppose, where a lot of villains, I don't know, I've never really read it, but the concept is here in the Phantom Zone is where every single bad guy from everything is kept.
Or at least any bad thing from Warner Brothers.
Any Lego.
Yes.
It's Warner Brothers.
Voldemort, you've got Gremlins, you've got dinosaurs, you've got King Kong,
you've
got
fucked.
Sauron.
Okay, so let's do a roll call here. It must be Warner Brothers because it's like, is Sauron Warner?
It's New Line,
Eye of
so
Sauron.
Warner Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, Eye of Sauron is from Lord of the Rings is here.
Yeah.
Like the Gremlins from the Gremlins. Jaws, the shark.
Yeah.
King Kong, I think is supposed to be Godzilla as well.
Yeah, was it that or Jurassic Park?
There was Jurassic Park too with the T-Rex and the raptors.
Yeah.
Dracula, Voldemort.
So you've got Ray Fiennes in this film not playing Voldemort. It's Eddie Izzard instead.
I believe they wanted Rafe, like Chris McKay, I think, has said that he wanted Rafe Fiennes, but the studio didn't want to get too deliberate with the Harry Potterness of it all because they realized J.K. Rowling has been very, generous with allowing the IP to be used in the original Lego movie with Dumbledore and then in this one as well. So they wanted to at least, but yeah, it was pretty funny.
The agents from the Matrix.
Yes. Yeah.
Agent Smith.
Yeah.
Medusa. Right. There's all these bad guys, all these creatures and people here. And Joker is like trying to sweet talk them all. Like, what? You're just happy of staying here in this Phantom Zone? Like, I have a plan and we're going to get out of this Phantom Zone. And when we do, we'll take over the world. We'll take over Gotham. All of us are the bad guys. It all starts with Batman. We just got to take out Batman. And well,
some of the fun of the original Lego movie was the fact that, like, much like kids would do with their toys, they would take all the Lego with different IPs and they would put them all in the same, universe to play with, because everything, of course, is connected. Everything, like one Lego set can mix with the other, and they decided to follow that up here as well with different IPs, mixing them together in this finale of the movie.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And that's as a kid, exactly what you do. Like, I'd have my, wrestling figures play with Power Rangers against, gargoyles. It's what you do.
Well, Harley Quinn on the outside in the real world, always one step ahead with her hubby, Mr. J, and helps Joker escape from the Phantom Zone with all the bad guys. They all come out of the Phantom Zone, and it's wreaking havoc. The biggest havoc they do wreak is Joker goes to Wayne Manor, Wayne Island, and converts it to Joker Manor, Joker Island, but he rubs his butt all over your stuff, he says to Batman, as his Joker's just walking around, rubbing his butt on all the Batcave gear.
So evil.
This is like Step Brothers. Like, I'm going to put my balls on your
Absolutely, yeah.
kid version. So he does that, and he says, I guess we got to call this the Batmobile now, and then does his evil laugh. Shout out Zach Galifianakis as the Joker. So Batman's in prison, and all these things are happening now because he went against Barbara. So Barbara's like, all right, like, I'll let you out, but we got to solve this issue as a team, all of us together. You can't do this by yourself. And he says, hey, the bat in Batman stands for best at teamwork. So I can do this.
He's the best at teamwork, man.
Yeah, that's what he is.
He gets a bat fax as well coming out of his cow, telling him everything that's happened.
What's going on?
Yeah.
With all the bad guys.
And he beatboxes.
Yeah. So Batman and his new team of friends here, Barbara, Robin, and Alfred, are all gonna try to go back through the city of the chaos and try to go back to Wayne Manor to stop the Joker, who's turned that into his lair. But they all get in like some costumes here. Alfred just has the 60s Batman costume on hand.
So I remember, but in the 60s Batman, Alfred, like, I think Batman gets captured or something, so Alfred takes the costume for one episode. Yeah. So it's like a callback to that. So it's the grey with the classic yellow bat in the middle. So
they're driving, going through the city. Yeah, the Batman's got that crazy like bat thing. You mentioned the vehicle thing. The bat, what? The bat? I don't even know.
The Scuttler.
Okay. The bat Scuttler.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I don't know what it is.
There's a line.
It's like a giant robotic dog, basically.
Right.
That he controls. Yeah.
There's a line from Batman as well where they're like trying to get a plan, and he's like, what am I going to do? Get all the criminals together to fight the other criminals? Pfft, that's stupid.
That's a stupid idea.
And it's just like, it's kind of
Squad.
like they do in the new Spider-Man film where they're taking digs at like, Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't great. Like, kind of in the dialogue, it's like, Suicide Squad, that sounds a bit silly.
Suicide Squad was like definitely the laughing stock of the time, you know, and this didn't shy away from it. My favorite Suicide Squad reference in this was when Killer Croc, it was in the fight at the beginning, and then like he does something completely like nonsensical, and it's just Killer Croc saying, I did something, which was like a criticism of like Killer Croc doing absolutely nothing in the original Suicide Squad.
He just swims. I remember he swims at one point to get from A to B.
I can't remember a whole lot about that film.
It's not good. Filmed in Toronto. It's not good. We decided not to. Batman wasn't featured enough in that movie to justify us reviewing it. It was on TV the other day before Dynamite or something.
That's right.
So I watched the last 30
The new
minutes
one
of
is
it.
available now.
The second one is great. I love
The new
second
one. The new one, I still didn't like maybe connect with it as much, but it was better than the first one, I think. Yeah. Well, Batman and the whole crew here go through the city. There's hot lava. As we mentioned, all these villains are just destroying the city. There's King Kong, Godzilla, all this stuff. We go to Joker Manor, and Joker now is like going through Batman's things. He's like, oh, I found some secrets hidden in your Batcave, Bruce Wayne, and reveals Batman's DVD collection.
Uh-oh.
Relationship comedies. He starts naming all these like rom-coms that Batman has. Most noted here, Marley and Me, and then a few of the other villains are like, oh, actually, that's a good movie. And then
it works. I mean.
Sorry?
Serendipity, yeah. No, I mean, it just works because, I mean, it just tells you, like, this is a character that longs for relationships and, you know, in spite of all the darkness.
What's Serendipity? Is that with Michael Keaton? No, that's
John Cusack.
John Cusack. Yeah, that's right, yeah. He's just got all these rom-coms.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite rom-com, Wai?
Oh, God.
Are you a When Harry Met Sally kind of guy?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen that. You know, I mean, of course, The Notebook is a classic.
Is The Notebook a rom-com, though? I don't think it's a rom-com.
You're right. It's straight up romance, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll have to get back to you on that.
500 Days of Summer, does that count? It's
that's a good one.
There's some comedy.
Just Friends.
I do like Love Actually. That's a good
Love
rom-com.
Actually.
Wedding Singer.
Wedding Singer. Best Adam Sandler movie, for sure.
Crazy Stupid Love. That's a good one.
Yeah, that one's all right too.
Yeah.
Shout out rom-coms.
Yeah.
You need them in your life sometimes.
Oh, they make you feel good.
Sometimes.
And sad at the same time.
Yeah, sometimes they don't make you feel too good. Spotlight of the Beautiful Mind. What's that movie? Jim Carrey?
That is not a rom-com. That is
Eternal
absolutely
Sunshine,
not a rom-com.
Eternal
That's one of the most depressing films I've ever watched. Great film, but her.
Just pick all this sad fucking Lost in Translation. That's my
It's a
favorite
whole different
rom-com.
genre.
Yeah.
So they make fun of Serendipity, and Robin overhears Joker like talking to Batman and making fun of his movies, and even Robin's like, "Yo, Serendipity, it's a great movie."
Yeah. Leave him alone.
So Batman's now flying the Batwing through the air with all the other friends in the same seat, and they're like, "Why do you only have one seat in your gear?" And he's like, "Well, because I only have one butt. So why would I make other seats for other people? I work alone." Another like little, I guess like a funny nod is the gremlins are on the wing of the plane.
Yes.
It's like the Twilight Zone,
Yeah.
the gremlins on the wing. So he's got to fight them.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Wait, explain it to me. What's the reference?
Well,
there?
because Gremlins is like a whole movie in itself, and they have. It's crazy that they must have this set then, a Lego Gremlin set. Like
There is.
Yeah,
there is.
So
There's
cool.
a gizmo.
Yeah.
toy.
Well, so in the Twilight Zone episode where it's Shatner.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, we
this
recently
October,
did. We recently did a Twilight Zone like kind of marathon and podcast, where like the famous creature, which does not look like anything like these gremlins,
No.
is called like a gremlin.
Yeah.
And it's on the wing, and that's when Shatner's like, "There's something on the wing. It's a gremlin and stuff." So here he's like, "Oh, there's something on my wing," and it's literally
It's
these
the
gremlins on the wing. So
That's a wonderful little reference. It's called Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. That was
Yeah.
the Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah,
Interesting.
if you've seen, it's one of the early Treehouse of Horrors in The Simpsons as well, where Bart sees this gremlin trying to break the school bus.
Yes.
And it's based on that episode as well,
Yeah.
which probably at this point, a lot more people have probably seen The
Yeah,
Simpsons
yeah,
episode
yeah,
than
yeah.
the Twilight Zone one.
It was redone with John Lithgow in like the 80s movie Twilight Zone, and then they recently kind of did it. It's like about a killer podcast.
Yeah,
the
it's
newest
with
one.
Adam Scott in the new
Yeah.
series where he's listening to a podcast that is
About
talking
his
about
flight.
this flight disaster, which is actually the plane he's on.
Yeah, it was a
he's trying to
cool
stop
spin, but it didn't have the gremlin.
You need the gremlin.
You needed the gremlin, honestly. I was waiting for it. I watched the whole thing. I was like, "Oh, a podcast, cool, that's cool." But no gremlin. No good. So he's fighting off the gremlins. Well, one of the wings goes down, and he's like, "It's fine, it's okay." The other wing goes down. "Oh, okay, I got to fight them." So they all start fighting the gremlins off the wing, and Alfred falls. And it's like this sad moment in any superhero movie where someone's going to fall, and Batman
Into the fire as well.
yeah, into the lava, the Lego lava. So he can't save him because he can't. He missed. So Barbara actually takes control of the thing and saves Alfred, and Batman's like, "Wow, like you saved him? Wow." So it's a moment here. Alfred didn't die.
He learns about we get to see how much Batman actually cares about the people in his life. And it's another sign that, hey, like there's something to this team.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He needs them. And Babs really saves the day here.
Yeah, Barbara getting in there. Well, there's a huge fight as they make it to Joker Manor now. And
There's a little reference, like the second time watching this, and especially with subtitles, I think you really do catch a whole lot more because they fit in little Easter eggs like throughout. Some of the audio is so hidden in the mix that you won't really be able to tell unless you read the subtitles. There's one point here where Robin says, "Hey, let me help. I know Jim Cotta," and I have no idea what the fuck Jim Cotta is, and I decided to Google it. Jim Cotta is a 1985 movie. Like exactly about what Robin was saying. It's a 1985 martial arts movie where this man uses gymnastics. An Olympic gymnast combines his gymnastic ability with martial arts to enter a deadly competition in a fictional country, Parmesan. So
this sounds lit. I need to
Jim
watch
Cotta
this.
reference here.
Wow.
JV.
That is a real deep cut.
Wow, that is
there.
a deep cut. Someone had to get that joke over in this movie. Someone's like,
Someone
we
was
need to
pitching
see.
that.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we're going to make it inaudible, but all right, we'll put it in the film.
You got to say this one line. So now it's like this huge fight against a lot of these villains. They're going to have to get through some of them to get into Joker's fortress here. So unfortunately, Sauron, the Eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings, is one of the first major casualties. They take him out, and is it Godzilla who's watching this? And it was
no, dude, it's the Kraken.
Oh,
it's the Kraken. So it's it's the classic thing where like the Kraken shoots his missile or whatever out of his mouth, and then instead it's aiming for the bat plane, and the bat plane gets out of the way at the very last minute, and the Kraken ends up killing the Eye of Sauron. The best part is the Kraken's going, oh shit.
he's like, and he starts whistling and just slowly backs away.
Sneaking away. Like he had nothing to do with it. It was great.
So funny. So they defeat some of these villains. Sauron was the big one they had to. So now they're all ready.
Robin's more in like a Nightwing costume now, isn't he?
Do they? Yeah. He doesn't. Don't they get that after? They get that when they get there first, because they take a family photo, like a selfie.
That's right.
And Batman gets real emotional here and decides to like lock them up in his back helicopter thing and sends them away.
The Scuttler.
Yeah. So it's like he still wants to work.
It's kind of. It looks kind of like the picture of him with his family earlier, like big smiles and all looking.
He's reminded of the pain of the potential pain of having a family.
Yeah.
So he's like, I can't, put danger on you guys. It's going to be too dangerous. I have to go alone. So he goes by himself, sending them back. But he goes to face Joker, who's turned his Wayne Manor into Joker Manor, and it's kind of similar to Batman Forever with there's everything has lights and glowy neon and everything. Even one of the skeleton gang guys from, is it Batman Forever or Batman and Robin, where the gang with those glow in the dark, they're in this as well. You see them in certain things. But Joker's lair here is pretty cool, and they have a heart to heart. There's like a fun house. It's like all clown stuff, mirrors. Again, pretty cool animation for these scenes, and Joker just messing with him. And finally, Joker's like, "Hey, all you had to say was what I want you to say to me, Batman. And you've never once said to me, I hate you, Joker. I just want to hear those words, Batman.
Acknowledge me.
Yeah, acknowledge me.
Acknowledge your tribal chief."
And he's like, I don't know. He's like, "Look, I hate you, Batman." People are like, "Oh, he said it." And Batman's like, "Yeah, me too." He's like, well, no, say it. Don't really want to say it. So he's like, "See, you won't change. You won't. You can, but you won't. You won't change, Batman." And Joker's just getting so upset. So more chaos is happening. Is it Voldemort?
He refuses to be a part of a one-sided relationship any longer. So he's done with the Batman.
I'm done with you, Batman. I don't need you in my life anymore. I'm going to get rid of you for good since you don't want.
He's going to get back on the apps, find a new superhero to terrorize.
That would be funny. Voldemort's flying around, Wingardium Leviosa, which I don't think he actually. I don't know much about Harry Potter, but he doesn't say it usually.
That's the levitating spell.
Yeah. So Joker is like, "Well, Batman, if you don't want to hate me, then I'm going to have to get rid of you. I'm not your greatest enemy. Your greatest enemy, Batman, is yourself. It's you. You're your biggest enemy because you hate yourself and stuff." So it's pretty deep. And he banishes Batman to the Phantom Zone, who's now there just by himself. And the Phantom Zone's got this like AI thing that talks to you. It's like God.
Played by Ellie Kemper from The Office and
oh wow, okay.
Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh
yes,
right,
yes.
okay, yes.
And is like, "Hey, you're not a bad guy, are you? You must be because you're dressed in all black. You look like a bat. Like you're probably a bad guy." He's like, "No, I'm a good guy. What are you talking about? Let me out of here." And then it shows like you're like, it's like a Black Mirror episode. It shows your highlights of your life in recent, and it's all the like stuff from this whole movie that we've seen of him being like
selfish.
Yeah,
and
I got 9-pack
on his own.
And, like, sending the family
telling
away.
Alfred he knows nothing about being a surrogate father, which hurt me.
So he realizes, maybe I have been.
Yeah, she's like, "Well, you're not a bad guy, but you're not really a good guy either."
So he's like, "Oh man, what am I gonna do?" Like,
he's not a heel, he's not a babyface, he's a winner.
He's a tweener.
Yeah.
Winner. Meanwhile, the family who are in like the bat glider thing tell the AI in his thing, like his Siri, to turn around. We got to save Batman. So it decides to let them go back.
Which I just noticed that I've got the cast here.
Yeah.
And the Siri character is called Pewter, played by Siri.
So did they just get Siri?
They've credited Siri. So it's actually Siri playing Pewter. That's great.
Great
Yeah,
casting.
they might have struck a deal with like Apple actually to use the voice. I don't know if Apple could copyright the voice at this point, but I mean they probably have the copyright to Siri as an actual brand.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hey Siri. Mine's off. My turn's
Yours
off.
is off. Mine's my Alexa.
Actually, in fact, I believe like there was some sort of tie-in promotionally where like you can say something to Siri and it'll be like respond with some sort of like Batman Lego thing.
Siri, talk to me in Batman voice.
Yeah. Okay. So here it is. When you say "Hey computer" to Siri, Siri responds to you as if you're Lego Batman. I don't know if it still works or not, but at the time it did.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's insane. That's creepy.
My Alexa just sings to me when I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah. I wonder if you can get it to do like Batman voices though.
I'll try. I'll play about later.
Yeah. Like remember you could change GPS voices, but can you change Siri's voice? Well, Batman's stuck in the Phantom Zone. Robin, Barbara, and Alfred come back. This is when they break in and they attack Joker. And they find other costumes here. This is where Robin finds the Nightwing costume. It's upgraded. It's got all this crazy stuff. And Bats, because he strikes a deal with this Phantom Zone, like, well, I'll save them and I'll come back after. Let me save the day and my family, and then I'll come back to the Phantom Zone. I promise. So he's back and he's helping them. And
The Phantom Zone woman actually makes him promise, or at least like the Phantom Zone like brick is like, what's going to be different this time around? You know, you abandoned your family last time, and so like Bruce has to like agree to like let the team into his life in order to escape the Phantom Zone.
so he's gonna do that. He has to apologize to Barbara. She's waiting for him to say sorry, but he keeps like, She's like, are you sorry? Yeah, that's it. Thanks. I'm so glad I got that off my chest. And she kind of gives him a talk like, look, you need to man up. You need to be in this family. We are a family. You need to let people in. So he says he's sorry. And I need your help. So it was tough. It was hard for him to say. They come up with a plan. They have to beat all these other villains. They need a Suicide Squad. They get all the Batman villains now. We get Bane. We get everyone. Everyone's here. And they're like, look, we need to fight the Joker. And they're like, yeah, you know what? The Joker's not that great. And one guy's like, yeah, he's always mean to us. So they're ready to fight the Joker. And this is when Robin is in charge of DJing.
Yeah.
Play an epic song. And he's just playing like, well, he plays George Michael, which is definitely a Easter egg.
He plays Wham. He plays Rick Astley.
Yeah.
Like Never Gonna Give You Up.
You get Rick rolled in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, we could be heroes.
That's right.
And then they're making their gear.
The Silver Connection, Fly Robin Fly.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they attack all the bad guys now with bad guys of themselves, but it's an epic fight. You see Robin and Batman have a moment where they're beating up all these villains, like Raptors, Dracula and stuff, but it's got the classic pow, zap.
From the Adam West
yeah,
series,
but it's in Lego and everything. It's pretty cool. Then they start, every time they beat someone up, Barbara comes over and like zaps you back to the Phantom Zone, almost like a Ghostbuster kind of thing. So they're going all back and stuff. So they're beating up all these villains. It's kind of cool where you see like Jaws talks and has a battleship that shoots.
Wait, isn't there like this where I didn't pick up on it being Jaws? Isn't there like a shark villain?
There's a whale villain or something.
There's Orca, which is an actual Batman villain, but this particular instance, it was Jaws who takes the shark repellent.
Right.
And gets stuck to the Phantom Zone.
Oh,
The shark repellent-
King Shark is who I'm thinking
King
of.
Shark.
Right.
Right.
Okay. But this is
In
Jaws.
Suicide Squad.
Yes. Yeah, I knew there was a fucking shark in one of those movies.
Sorry, Orca's also a villain though.
Yeah.
Orca's a Batman villain because there was like a killer whale, like Free Willy looking
Oh yeah, these all
guy.
look ridiculous.
I need that one in a live action movie. Orca, killer shark, but yeah, Jaws is zapped back to the Phantom Zone here. Poor Jaws. would Jaws be considered as one of the all-time villains? Poor guy's just living in the ocean.
He's just in the sea.
Until they got a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't do anything.
Probably just for the shark repellent gag. And
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%. So they're fighting everybody and they're sending them back. But Joker's still mad and things start like exploding and it looks like Gotham is like splitting in half and everything's being destroyed. So they realize the only way to win is to stick together. And this is a Lego movie.
One of the warnings of the film from the scientist, the seismologist or whatever early on is that, one of the Joker's plans is to split the entire city apart with sort of like, the meta reasoning behind it as, well, like a Lego city rests upon a table. And if somebody were to pull the city apart, there'd be an infinite abyss below, which of course would be the floor. So that is sort of like the threat here that, somebody would pull the city apart and all the toys would fall onto the floor. So
they literally have to stick together to keep it together.
They're going to use their heads.
So they all take off if like their masks because you can't, they don't have the little clicking, like the mechanism that joins them all together. All these people start joining and making human ladders and bridges to connect the world.
Use their heads and their shredded abs.
Oh yeah, he's got to use his 9 abs. Yeah, of course. Batman just loves telling us. They get everyone and he's almost there. Batman's almost there, but he's just not close enough. And he sees the Joker on the other side with Harley Quinn and they're laughing. He's laughing at Joker.
Joker just reapplying lipstick as well, which I loved. Just a little thing.
He's like, Joker, please help us. Us? There is no us. We used to be together. And this is when Batman realizes, maybe I need to sweet talk Joker here. I've learned some things. And says, look, maybe you were right. You need to help us. We need you together. We need to be together. We need each other. And Joker's like, whoa. He's finally hearing what he wanted to hear from this guy. I hate you, Joker. I hate you too. And then he finally
he says, "You had me at shut up." The Jerry Maguire callback.
So Joker and Harley Quinn, they all connect and they reconnect the city. Batman and Joker have quite a moment and says, "I hate you the most." It's like almost like a bromance here at the end.
I love this is like kind of big epic struggle to put the city back together. And then at that very end, it just like suddenly snaps and then you hear a little click, like two Lego bricks clicking together. And that's the end.
And it's so easy and almost anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Just like,
okay, we're back. Yeah, we're cool. So there's a big bat party. Everybody's celebrating, all the villains, all the characters. The city is saved by everybody. It's just a big one happy thing. And, Batman is upset and sad because he promised he would go back to the Phantom Zone. So he says bye to his family and he's like being lifted up into like heaven almost, into the Phantom Zone thing. But then he gets blocked and he's like, whoa, what's going on? And he's the AI creature thing is like, oh, maybe you're not such a bad guy. Maybe you are a good guy. So you deserve to stay with your family. So he gets a second chance to be with his new family here. And he shows them the Batcave. They're all living with him now. We get all of them know the password. Iron Man sucks.
Did we mention when Barbara was going through the different costume
Batgirl
ideas?
costumes? Oh, yeah.
And one of the suggestions was Soccer Mum Bat.
Batgirl, she's like, oh, so I can call you Batboy then, right?
Yeah.
Batwoman. There's so many different like rotations of costumes for her too. We finally hear Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror. We see the family just having family dinner and just living life. Family movie night. They're all watching Jerry Maguire.
Oh yeah.
And laughing at it.
Yeah, they're all right when it's like
it's not comedy.
Yeah, it has funny parts. It's at the part where they all laugh when it's "you complete me," and they all go "ah." Yeah, and then it fades to white. Oh, they also let the villains go. They we'll get them.
They give them a 30-minute head start.
Like we'll catch you down the road, but we'll let you go.
They're like,
now.
we're a team now. We're going to catch them so quickly. Let's give them a head start.
And it fades to white, and then it cuts back to snake clowns. I didn't mention snake clowns. Batman says he's not scared of it.
His ultimate fear.
His snake clowns, but it's just something he created himself. And yeah, and then more Batman music plays. It's like a Batman song about family and how family is important.
It's the song Robin wrote.
Okay.
That's Friends Are Family. Yeah.
Friends Are Family.
I love all the songs in these Lego films.
Yeah.
They're so silly.
And that's Lego Batman.
Yeah.
Wow. What are some thoughts on the movie, Wai?
Well, I think it's a wonderful love letter to like longtime Batman fans that, tries to make reference to every single ridiculous part of this character's history across all of media, including some of the more obscure ones that like longtime Batman fans can appreciate that most of us will just think is really ridiculous, but it's fun. And I think it actually manages to like hit a really good, heartfelt thesis about what the Batman character is. And that's somebody who, because of his very traumatized past, has to shut everything else out and just kind of like surround himself in this darkness that often, is totally solitary and, void of, family, void of, letting others in. This is obviously an exaggeration of that trope, but I thought it managed to kind of hone in on it really well and, ultimately redeems the character by allowing himself to feel love again, to feel family again. It's completely ridiculous. I think kids will really enjoy just the color of it all. For me, like one of the things I loved about the Batman movie was perhaps like it had equal parts of like, heart and seriousness. I would say not equal, but maybe like 30-70 serious to like, craziness. This I would say was more like 90% crazy and 90% jokes and maybe 10%, heart and seriousness. And that's maybe where I felt like this could have benefited from, not just constant joke, as fun as it may be on like a rewatch, but like, a bit more kind of the serious side to kind of pace it and make it feel a bit more whole. But obviously it's a very enjoyable movie, especially on rewatch as well.
Yeah, I think what I love is we're all so familiar with Batman and with all the films, and they always try to make them like darker and darker. I highly doubt we're going to go back to the days of like Joel Schumacher style or even the like old 60s series. So it's a great opportunity on a film to actually just massively take the piss out of the whole thing.
All of it. Everything.
Which you're not going to do. You're not going to see like Robert Pattinson's Batman poking fun at all these things, are you? So I think it's such a great opportunity, and maybe why it's more jokey than like the Lego movie. I think definitely for me it helped having rewatched all these films and like diving a little deeper with it, because there are so many little in jokes. But I think even putting that aside, I think it's really enjoyable, and kids and adults would love it.
Yeah, like we said earlier, if you were like someone who grew up watching any iteration of these Batman movies and then take your kids to this, they'll love it no matter what, because it's so colorful, it's so crazy and always going, and everything's funny and it. But if you know little things, it makes it almost funny for you. So it's like little Easter eggs. I mean, like really early in the movie is when he goes, "You want to get nuts?" And I was like laughing my head off. Like, that's so funny. I think that was what was like some of the biggest laughs in it, because this is strictly like liners after liners, and it's a lot of these little things like him, the lobster in the microwave and shit had me fucking laughing.
I feel there's so many, and it's almost like an AEW Dynamite when they're telling you the matches of the next like 2 weeks, because they're just thrown at you. And I'm sure on rewatch you'd pick up on so many more little things. I mean, just the three of us talking, there's stuff each of us picked up on that the other didn't. But yeah, some favorites.
Like I loved Channing Tatum as Superman, just like the cocky. He's just Superman.
Yeah. I loved when the Kraken killed Sauron and then pretended like nobody saw it. That was hilarious. Like you said, the moments of Bruce Wayne being alone in his like giant bat cave and doing completely mundane things, like hitting the wrong button on his microwave, or like, what was the other thing he did? Like, yeah, just like, watching DVDs and man, it's just like, it's so silly, but like you have to, we never get to see that, of course, in the movie. Like, what does Batman do on his off time? Like, how does Batman, put on his pajamas? Like, it's ridiculous.
Oh, I think also the one of the early songs when it's like, Batman, who's got this Batman? Who pays their taxes? Not Batman.
Yeah.
It's definitely the funny one. I mean, every time we watch these Batman movies and we do these reviews, we have bat ratings.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we got to give some bat ratings out for this movie. We got to stick to what we do with our reviews here. So, Wai, you got to help us out with some bat ratings. But it's going to be different because, I mean, we give a score for a Batman and a Bruce Wayne. There really wasn't much of Bruce in this.
Very little Bruce. So
how do I rate
this
that?
This is where it might suffer. I mean, I'd say you have... I'd say Bruce is kind of when Batman's not on a mission, right? When he's in the cowl, but when he's with Alfred, he's Bruce, right? So
is he though?
I don't know.
Because I think this movie, I mean, more, as much as any of the other ones, like, it really does, like, convey that, like, Batman is his real identity. Bruce Wayne is the disguise. So there's like that. He's got the cowl on the whole time, like even when he's eating the lobster. So I don't know if we saw much of Bruce outside of, like, the Jim Gordon party.
My lowest rating on my bat ratings is because there really wasn't too much of Bruce, and I'm just being generous because there was, like we just said, he was Bruce, but he was still kind of Batman.
I mean, I'd say just him eating popcorn, watching Jerry Maguire is Bruce.
Okay, well, I went low, so don't think I hate this movie or anything, but I went Bruce 5 in the middle because you don't really see Bruce in this movie, but I didn't think he was a bad. He also jokes about George Clooney being charming in this movie. We forgot to mention that as well. They go, "Oh, George Clooney or something, like charming." Yeah.
I went for a 5 as well.
Yeah.
For the same sort of reason. We don't really get enough Bruce, but we do get a sense of his loneliness, how, like, how still but he's still wearing the cowl. With his family he can't get over. Get a little bit of the Playboy where he accidentally adopts a kid because he's actually checking out the commissioner's daughter. So a little bit of the Playboy there, but we could have got a little more. Could have had a bit more of him flashing his cash a bit. But I went in the middle with a 5 too.
Accidentally adopting kids. It happens to the best of us,
So I was just checking out that girl over there.
I went a 3 with my Bruce.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get much of it, and it wasn't really the point of this film.
No.
Right?
Yeah,
it's not called Lego Bruce, is it?
Yeah,
it's called Lego Batman.
Lego Batman. Well, what about Batman then? What's the rating for Batman? I'll give mine. I went with a 9 for not Will Forte. That's a different Will. Will Arnett. I couldn't go 10 because it wasn't live action. I know we gave Henry Convoy, the animated,
the
animated
Mask
one?
of Phantasm.
He's great. That voice is always Bruce Wayne to me and Batman to me. But I'm giving this high ratings because he's funny. Will Arnett is so funny at this Batman voice. It is so silly. And yeah, I'm praising my Toronto boy here.
Wow. I went for an 8. I think he gets this. I mean, obviously hilarious, but he's got a really great Batman voice. Yeah. Whereas I think if you heard a live action Batman sound like this, I don't think you'd find it as ridiculous as Christian Bale's Batman voice. But also, I mean, he ends up saving the day. He learns his lesson.
Yeah. Family.
He's pretty badass. I went for an 8.
I went a 9 as well. I mean, and let me just say, I think it's really difficult to really try to compare this version of Batman to any of the other ones that have existed because it's its own thing. I don't think it necessarily tries so hard to be like, classic Caped Crusader. Instead, it's really just more. I mean, it's a satire of what Batman is, but I think a very good one at that. Like you guys said, Will Arnett I think does a tremendous job of like making his own version of Batman what it is, and making it feel like Batman while at the same time making us be able to laugh at its more ridiculous parts as well. And as just sort of like a deep dive study of like what this Batman character is, I think the movie does a really good job.
Yeah, no, 100%. What about main villain?
So Joker.
Joker's the main villain. I'm going real. Yeah, is it Batman? Honestly, yeah,
probably the Joker. Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a high rating too. I'm going with a 9 for Zach Galifianakis. I actually think he's got a great voice for voice acting. Of course, I love him in a lot of the movies he's been in, but reading like IMDb has like little trivia on this movie, and he did an interview doing rounds for this movie, and he's like, yeah, in 2007 I was talking about poop jokes in coffee shops, and now I'm the Joker in a Lego movie. Like, how crazy is this? So I thought he was pretty good, and I actually really liked the story of like the whole relationship thing with Batman. It was pretty funny, but also a little bit of the heart in this movie. So yeah, high rating.
I went a 6. I mean, it serves the purpose of the movie perfectly, but we're kind of doing our like Batman. So got my Batman rating like goggles on here. Like, he didn't seem too evil. He just wanted this guy to hate him.
Yeah.
He seemed way too caught up with his relationship with Batman rather than wreaking havoc. So I went 6.
Harley
but that's
Quinn's
not to
just fine
say I'd have wanted a more psycho Joker in this. I absolutely wouldn't. He's perfect. But compared to other Jokers, he's a 6.
I went 6 as well. The Joker was certainly a presence in the movie, but I wouldn't say he was the main presence and the main threat. You know, it was more of a internal struggle that Batman really had to deal with throughout all of this. And so, Joker was pretty badass. Like, he's got this wonderful lowrider that like they made a toy of that actually like springs with the wheels up front.
God.
The design of it is awesome. It's just like combination of really, a bit Jared Leto, but like really its own thing. So, I don't know how different I would have made the Joker from what we got, but as how important he was to the entire story. I don't know. I kind of went more of a feeling of a 6 out of 10 for me here.
What about secondary villain? We usually do this because there's always someone else that's...
And I guess it's all of them.
All of them.
Right?
Yeah. I gave this a 7 because there was a lot of these characters that they weren't maybe focuses, but there were a lot of little jokes and little Easter eggs and stuff like that. And they were very enjoyable. Like we said, Jaws, Voldemort, that Kraken or whatever.
Yeah.
Like just little things. King Kong, shit like that. It was pretty good.
I went a 5. For it. Enjoyed them all funny, but none of them were very good, were they, at being villains?
Being bad?
Yeah. They didn't do a good job at being evil.
They almost broke the city, though. They almost got it.
Almost isn't good enough. Wai, what about you?
I went 7 as well. I guess in terms of like creating something like this, I mean, my grading is more so just based off of the variety and the deep cut, like sort of bring to the forefront into the mainstream of like stupid characters like, Polka Dot Man and Condiment King that I wouldn't have known about.
Orca.
Or Orca, yeah. It's just fun. And by the way, Polka Dot Man ended up being a part of the new Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
That's right. Played by one of the guys from Dark Knight, right? One of the...
Yeah. He was also in Ant-Man, David something.
Yeah. He was one of the guys that like Joker makes...
David Dastmalchian.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Okay. A 7 there, Wai?
Yeah.
7.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I know this guy. He's in a bunch of stuff.
What about Alfred? Alfred here, I gave a 7 because he didn't have too much to say. He had some funny one-liners that definitely got some pointers, but he actually put the costume on to try to help Bruce. So we didn't get quite as many cheeky lines that we've got from Alfred Pennyworth from, Michael Caine or whatever, but he helped Bruce here. So I give him a 7.
Yeah, I felt this Alfred, we normally have that kind of real heart-to-heart moment between Alfred and Bruce, where he's comforting him. Whereas now, this Alfred, he's been doing this for 70 years, and he's kind of like, you got to get the fuck over your parents and let people into your life. And he dons the suit. I think Ralph Fiennes' fantastic voice. You buy him as this kind of posh English butler. But not quite as like an emotional moment as we've had with the others. But I went an 8 because, come on, he put on the Batman suit.
He did.
To
He
fight
tried.
crime.
Yeah.
I went 7 for my Alfred. I mean, very similar thoughts to what you guys had said. Ralph Fiennes, I think it's just kind of cool to hear him do Alfred. But I would say in terms of story, I mean, he really just kind of serves as the guy to really spell out what the theme of the movie is. And beyond that, playing a role in I think bring back some of the 60s nostalgia as he wears the suit. So more of a visual gag, I would say, but in terms of a character, not as weighty for me as maybe some of the others.
What about the Batmobile? He's got a few here. I'm giving this a high score simply because of that crazy creature thing he's got. That has to be a Lego set. What's it called again? The Lego... Sorry, the
Scuttler.
Scuttler. I keep forgetting what it's called. Yeah, that thing is awesome. What even is it? They definitely have to have that as a Lego set. But the way it like almost looks like a bat in a weird thing. I gave that a 9 simply because he uses that thing in this.
Oh, I gave it a 9 as well.
Yeah.
All these vehicles looked awesome. And
The
like when we
space
say
shuttle?
Batmobile, we mean like all the vehicles, right? Like all of them were awesome. They looked really cool.
The Bat Kayak.
Yeah. And he used a lot of them. Whereas some of the films are like, we didn't really get enough of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Like he had a lot here. So I'm with you. I went 9. And also it's a Lego film. Like you want cool like Lego vehicle stuff, right?
Totally, yeah. I mean, I would say, like, for me, the Batmobile was sort of like similar category to the suit and gadget because so many of his gadgets are.
Yeah.
Again, it kind of pokes fun at the stupid amount of variety, of useless variety that they make these Batman toys in. But yeah, like the Scuttler was really cool. The Batmobile that they actually did was really cool. So I'm going to go 8.5.
Ooh. 8.5 on the Batmobile. Well, yeah, suit and gadgets is our next one. And that's kind of whatever other things he uses, like bat stuff. He gets a fax out of the side of his head.
Yeah.
Bat fax.
He's got the whole like
rotating
laundry rotating thing of
Reggae Man.
Of costumes there. Yeah.
He has a rotisserie of bat vehicles.
Yeah.
That's how they described it.
I gave it a 7.
I went 9 for this. He's got such a variety, and also brought back the shark repellent, which
he did.
which has to bump up the rating.
Yeah,
so I went
true.
a 9.
Yeah, for me it's a 10. You know, the fact that like they would, I mean, take the time to animate and like even put into the background like a bat ballerina costume, like a glam rock Batman costume, just like, and making toys of all of these things as well. Just to me, it just kind of, you know, it's the imagination gone wild in terms of these sort of Batman costume parodies.
And then we talk about the overall enjoyment of the film. So this is putting aside plot holes, like bad acting, whatever, but just how much did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not fair because it's a cartoon compared to a lot of the live action versions. But I think I'm being a little mean on this. I'm giving it a 7 when I actually really did enjoy this movie. I thought this was so much fun. But it's still a Lego cartoon movie. And, I think I'm just being mean. I gave it a 7, but I really did enjoy this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went for an 8. I really enjoyed this. I can totally see myself watching this again in a couple of years or whatever. Really entertaining. Had a smile on my face the whole time.
Yeah.
And kind of checked out from the rest of the world. So I really enjoyed this with an 8.
Yeah, I went right in between you guys at 7.5. You know, I also really enjoyed it. I think, especially on second viewing, I hadn't seen this since it was in the theaters the last time. You really do pick up on a whole lot. I think what keeps it from being as memorable for me as maybe like the first Lego movie or some of the other great animation movies out there is just sort of it having, to me, finding a bit of trouble finding the balance between the serious and the irreverent, and you know, it just kind of prevents this from feeling as whole and as complete of an experience as some of the great, you know, comedy and animated films.
Yeah, but you love it, still love it. That's still a high rate as you're trying to do the math here.
I'm doing the
Dave.
math.
Dave is doing the bat math, the quick math.
All right,
what's our final
I've
bat
got
score?
It. Yeah.
All right, well,
so what I do is I take all our scores, I divide by 8. And then divide that by 2 to get a star rating for each of us. And then I get the average of the 3 of us.
Okay.
So both Wai and I have an average star rating of 3.625. And Braden a little higher with a 3.75. And doing some quick maths, that gives the average at 3.66, which we round up. It's a 3.75.
It's a pretty high rating.
So let's put it in. Let's go through all the films so far. Starting with we didn't do our ratings for the 66 Batman
movie,
although we did review it.
On the Patreon.
But starting with Michael Keaton Batman 3.5, Batman Returns 3.25, Mask of Phantasm 4 stars. Batman Forever, 3 stars. Batman and Robin, 2.5. Batman Begins, 4.25. Dark Knight, 4.75. The Dark Knight Rises, 4.5. Batman v Superman, 3. And the Lego Batman Movie, 3.75. So just below Mask of Phantasm. So I think that sits in 5th place.
That one's pretty good, though.
So
I would put it in the... Yeah, it's cartoon. It's still really entertaining.
It's pretty high.
Yeah, it's very high.
Still pretty high. We love this movie.
Will Justice League, the Joss
Theatrical
Whedon
cut.
version, beat this?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Have you guys seen the Snyder Cut?
I have. Yeah,
I haven't seen either of them.
Okay,
interesting.
So I do want to go and watch. We'll do our Justice League review, and then I'll go and watch the
4-hour
Snyder
version.
Cut.
the Snyder Cut is way better. But I mean, I'm
keep
curious to
hearing.
know what you guys would rate the Whedon one.
Yeah,
You'll have to listen, Way.
have to listen.
Next month when we do that
Yeah.
movie. I'm not excited. I'm happy it's not the 4-hour one, but the 4-hour one makes more sense. We just don't want to do the 4-hour long movie.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
I get it.
hard to review something that long.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Clearly, we had some fun talking about some Lego Batman. Way, thank you for joining us. We couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you guys. Yeah, always a pleasure. You didn't have to, convince me too hard to be a part of this review. So more than happy to join you guys for this discussion.
We had John Pollock from Post Wrestling talking about what he loves, Home Alone, on our Patreon last month. And then Way talking about what he loves, Lego,
Yeah,
on this show. We just been covering all the bases.
everything.
Yeah, everything.
We need a Lego Home Alone movie to get everyone together.
That Home Alone
They do
set
it.
looks pretty lit. Yeah.
They do have the IP. Yeah. So
Oh,
looks-
true, they do.
That'd be
They
crazy.
do.
That'd be interesting. Guys, thank you for listening to us do all these. Yes, you can check out all the Batman reviews on this very free feed. But if you want to hear more reviews, patreon.com/upNXT is where you can find everything like Best Match Ever SmackDown 6.
Yes.
With Wai Ting just from a few months ago as well. Retro NXT reviews, other movie reviews, everything. I think that we have like 400 shows in that Patreon catalog there. Only $5 a month, North American tier, to access all the shows. And Wai, the floor is yours. Let the people where can they find you and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, man. Thank you very much again for having me on the BDE. Always a pleasure to join you guys. But I just wanted to maybe take the time to promote our Worst of show, which is up right now on the Post Wrestling YouTube as well as the Post Wrestling free feed. So check us out. A lot of us this week, but you get to hear us vent basically about all the repressed emotions that a typical wrestling fan might go through over the course of a year. So I want everybody to check that out. And also this weekend, a friend of both of our shows, MJ from NJ, is going to be profiled on an edition of Postmarks, which is our monthly, interview series highlighting certain members of the Post Wrestling and upNXT community. And this is hosted by David Myers and Bruce Lord. And that'll be available for free at patreon.com/postwrestling Saturday night, sometime around there.
Wow. That's
Awesome.
interesting.
Lots and lots of
Yeah,
stuff to
sounds
listen
great.
to.
I want to hear about MJ.
Yeah,
And I'm sure he talks a lot about business,
I would think so.
smarts,
Stocks.
family, friends.
Probably. How about you guys too, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good friend. He's one
Talk
of our
some shit
one of
about
our
you guys.
great friends. Yeah,
He talks
probably.
shit?
Probably doesn't. I love that guy. He's great. I love you too, Wai. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for
too.
listening. That's it. That's all. Take care. Goodbye. Did you
Did
just
you know?
quote?
Wai doesn't say it. Wai doesn't say it.
You just said me too.
Me too.
I hate you too, Batman. No. Thank you guys. Take care.
You complete us.
Yeah. Goodbye. Be safe. You complete me.
Ahoy!